Booth, and I am presenting my study and research findings for my psychology capstone class. It is estimated that 7.7 million Americans ages 18 and older have PTSD, but children as young as 1 can experience PTSD as well, which generates from the inception of my hypothesis if PTSD creates post-stress and if age is relevant. We will review 18 and older results through the correlational studies and linear regression of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD stressors, in various age groups and indicates the necessity for further testing to determine what additional factors that reflect strength and accuracy between two variables. For a quick rundown of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health condition that is triggered by a terrifying event either from experiencing it or witnessing it. Symptoms may include, but are not limited to, flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, uncontrollable thoughts about the event. Most that go through the traumatic events may have difficulty in adjustment and coping that can last months or even years, but usually get better for the most. When stress interferes with day-to-day functioning, that's when you may have PTSD. PTSD, once believed in the context of only belonging to combat and war veterans, PTSD can actually also occur from the following experiences: natural disasters, serious accidents like a car crash, life-threatening illnesses, physical abuse, sexual assault during childhood or adulthood, or any trauma, whether directly or indirectly. It is said 80% of PTSD is always comorbid with another type of anxiety disorder. Some of those are major depression, dysthymia, which is a milder form of depression, but can actually accompany major depression, which is considered a double depression. Bipolar disorders, anxiety disorders, adjustment disorders, substance abuse, personality disorders, and alcoholism. My favorite. For the methods portion, participants, I have a total of 57 people who volunteered to participate in this study. 55, or 93%, indicated that they have experienced PTSD stress for various ages and completely filled the questionnaire. One chose not to participate entirely. They were left out. The eligible participants, 57, consisted of 44 females, 77.2%, 13 males, 22.81%, 15 were between the ages of 18 to 22, which is 26.32%, 10 were between the ages of 23 to 27, which is 17.54%, 1 was between the age of 28 to 30, 1.754%, 7 were between the ages of 31 to 34, which is 12.28%, 23 were older than 35 years old, which is 40.35%, and 1 choosing to not participate entirely. That is 1.754%. For the procedure, participants were asked to complete a voluntary self-report survey online. The self-report survey was administered online using Google Forms, Sona, and Facebook, and was open for a period of 2 weeks, which allowed participants to complete the survey at their own discretion. For the measures, I used a self-reported perceived stress scale, PSS, from Cohen in 1994. 10 questions from a scale with 0 being never experienced or never feeling, to 5, which is very often. For my analysis models, I used a scatter plot on the first one to find if there was any positive or negative correlation between the two. For my second model, I used linear regression to find my normal probability plot and to find the percentile for each age. Next, we will move on to the results. Before I must mention, one individual completely participated in the study and reported they did not ever, nor knowingly ever have PTSD. Another individual chose not to participate in the study entirely and was left out of the survey. Positive correlation of the measured levels between the age and post-traumatic stress disorder indicated an impact between the two. The mean for the perceived stress scale was 22.684 with a standard deviation of 11.413, and the mean for the age was 33.140 with a standard deviation of 12.261. Cronbach's alpha for age and PTSD stress measurements equated to 0.662, which indicated a strong correlation. As one ages, stress created with the PTSD increases with it. When we get into the questions, I'm going to break it down into two groups. There's going to be a 0 through 2 group, which are your low ends, your rares, and 3 to 5 group, which are almost always. The first question, how often have you been upset with something unexpectedly happened? 31.1% for 0 to 2, 68.9% for 3 to 5. 2, how often have you felt that you were unable to control important things in your life? 37.9% for groups 0 to 2, 62.1% for groups 3 to 5. 3, have you ever felt nervous and or stressed? 8.6% for groups 0 to 2, 91.4% for groups 3 to 5. How often have you felt confident about your ability to handle personal problems? 22.8% for group 0 to 2, 77.2% for groups 3 to 5. Question 5. How often have you felt that things were going your way? 34.5% are in group 0 to 2, 65.5% are in groups 3 to 5. How often have you found that you could not cope with all things that you had to do? 39.7% for groups 0 to 2, 60.3% for groups 3 to 5. How often have you been able to control irritations about your life? 36.9% are groups 0 to 2, 63.1% for groups 3 to 5. Question 8, how often have you felt that you were on top of things? 36.3 for 0 to 2, 63.7 for 3 to 5. Question 9, how often have you been angered because of things that were outside of your control? 24.1% for groups 0 to 2, 75.9% for groups 3 to 5. How often have you felt difficulties were piling up so high that you could not overcome them? 39.7% for groups 0 to 2, 60.3% for groups 3 to 5. Discussion. Findings showed that positive significant impact of PTSD stress correlates with age, supporting my hypothesis. The reliability of the measurement of PTSD stress was moderately high, 0.662, as demonstrated by the coefficient. A more reliable measurement with a general consensus levels of PTSD stress is needed to ensure accuracy. To address the discrepancy between the different levels of PTSD, a comprehensive meta-analysis can be conducted to determine more accurate and powerful result. Significant results in other studies suggest extrinsic versus intrinsic memories play a deeper factor, such as connectedness or psychological dependence that impacts age and understanding of PTSD stress. Some limitations of my research provides a left skew of the distribution, some of the participants self-reporting through social desirability. More studies are necessary to isolate what those factors are. This concludes my study for psychology capstone research. Thank you.